Hey y'all, welcome back.
I'm Stacy.
And I'm Tom, and we're RV Texas, y'all.
Recently, we were in San Antonio, Texas, and while we were there, we decided to visit one of our favorite places in the area, the San Antonio Missions National Historical Park. And wow, we love this place.
Yeah, so hang around as we show you part one of our visit to the San Antonio Missions.
Welcome to one of my all-time favorite places to visit in San Antonio. This is the San Antonio Missions National Historical Park. It's part of the National Park System, and it is absolutely free to visit. It's a collection of 4 Spanish missions from the 1700s, each one still operating today as an active church, all very unique and in different levels of reconstruction and restoration. Not everything is open right now as far as visitor centers and inside of buildings, but it is still a fascinating place to get outdoors, walk around, and soak up some of the history of Texas. Today we're going to start out at Mission San Jose, which is where the main visitor center is, and let's go check it out. So right now, the visitor center here at the Missions remains closed. You'll find the main visitor center at Mission San Jose, which actually is celebrating its 300th birthday this year in 2020. It was established in 1720. So that's super cool, and unfortunately the visitor center is closed due to the COVID stuff. However, they offer an audio tour that we've heard from some folks was really interesting. So you just go to the worldheritagesa.com, which will also give you more information about the missions. And then you can choose your mission, in this case San Jose, and then you can pull up their audio tour. So we're going to give it a try. The San Antonio Missions are part of the World Heritage Site organization, which there's not many of those in the world. So that in itself is super cool. Here, Mission San Jose is known as the Queen of the Missions. The full name is Mission San Jose y San Miguel de Aguayo. It was named for Saint Joseph and the Marquis de San Miguel de Aguayo, which was at the time, he was the governor of the province of Coahuila and Texas.
I'm glad you said that.
So this is the largest of the San Antonio missions. It's also the most restored of the missions that are here. It was restored in the 1930s by the Works Progress Administration.
Love those bells.
Oh my gosh, you know, we were so lucky to be there as that happened, because it's just, you really feel the history, you know, in that case.
Absolutely.
Now, all of these are still operating as Catholic churches. Most of them, well, the rest of them were all closed during our visit. You could not go into the chapels, but San Jose actually was open, which was phenomenal.
Absolutely stunning.
The architecture here is amazing. The rose window right above the doorway here and the facade of this church are recognized today as the best, finest examples of Spanish colonial ornamentation in the United States.
Wow.
Super cool. And then just outside of the walls, you'll find the grist mill. Now, this is the oldest operating mill in Texas. It was built in 1794, and it was the first mill built in Texas. The lower level is original. The upper level has been reconstructed. And during normal times, when we were here before, you could go down and see more of it in operation, because it does still operate. Because of COVID, though, and they're doing some work in the area, they didn't have it open. But it runs on the water through these ditches, and then the water is filtered back out to irrigate the fields.
That's really cool.
Oh yeah, these missions were farming communities, they were ranching communities. The folks lived here. Here at San Jose, they say up to 300 people lived here at one time.
Yeah, I mean, it is a big place.
And during your visit, don't overlook the details like these water spouts. Really, really neat.
One really unique thing about the Mission National Park here with the 4 missions is that there's a trail that connects all 4. It's a bike trail. When we were here in 2013, they were just finishing that bike trail up. But you can even rent bikes here. You can bring your own, or you can rent them. So how cool is that? You can go from mission to mission by bike and then come back and get back in your car, because there's a great parking lot where we're parked in right now. And these bikes here, this is pretty cool. There's all different kinds. There's pedal your own. They actually have some like e-bikes, so that they have power also, and different ones with baskets and everything. So it's like, choose what you want to do.
Welcome to Mission Espada, San Francisco de la Espada to be exact. And this is an interesting story because this is where South Texas meets East Texas in a way. Mission Espada is actually from the first Spanish mission in Texas, which was San Francisco de los Tejas, which was founded in deep East Texas near Crockett, and where now Mission Tejas State Park is. But they moved the mission from there to the San Antonio River and then established it here as the final of the 5 Spanish missions here on the San Antonio River in 1731. The church was finished here at Espada in 1756. So let's go take a look. So before we talk specifically about Mission Espada, let me clarify something. Throughout this video, we've mentioned that the San Antonio Missions National Historical Park is made up of 4 Spanish missions, but I just said that Mission Espada is the 5th and final mission in the area. Well, the first mission that was built here is not part of the National Historical Park, but it does still exist. That is Mission San Antonio de Valero, which you probably know as the Alamo. And since the famous battle for Texas independence in 1836 happened there, it is actually owned and operated by the state of Texas.
Yeah, and it's deep in the heart of downtown San Antonio.
Yes, it is. So Mission Espada here, it was known again for its growing of crops, and the aqueduct is nearby that brought the water over here from the river. It also had 23 miles south of here a huge herd of cattle and sheep, 4,000 sheep and about 1,200 head of cattle on their ranch that was related to this mission.
Wow.
Super cool. You know, and the missions, the Spanish are really what brought a lot of the cattle industry here to Texas, and you learn a lot as you visit the different missions, especially down in Goliad. We learned a lot about that.
You know, what I thought was crazy is we also learned that some of these were actually homes all the way into like 1970.
I mean, it's amazing. Folks lived here for a very, very long time. It was a community. And even when they weren't being used in the sense of what they were built for, you know, to teach the native folks Catholicism and growing of different crops besides what they knew, they still served a purpose as a community. And a lot of them, as you can see in the background here, there are still houses that are built just outside the walls.
Yeah, and that plaque was a family that donated it.
Very, very cool. You know, there's a lot of history here, and this is really interesting. This is the chapel. It was not going to be the final chapel, though, and you see how unusual this door is. Now, the story on this door is that The stones around it were cut by a stonemason that was the head stonemason here at the church during its building. And they were actually going to build a bigger church. This was going to be the sacristy where the priests kept their robes and things. But that church never got built. The stonemason left, and by the time they got around to using those stones, they decided to refit them into a smaller door. So super interesting. You know, stones were big here, and this is actually the mission that produced tiles and bricks out of all of the San Antonio missions. So each one kind of had its own little niche. What you're seeing here is where the priests still live today, and that is the case with all of these missions. They're active parishes, and yeah, it's really neat that they continue to be part of the community.
And living in these buildings that are hundreds of years old.
How cool is that?
Yeah.
You know, San Antonio really embraces its history, and that's one of the things we really appreciate it in general. This was one of the churches during its time here. They had multiple locations of chapels and a lot of these missions, because as they grew, they had to build, you know, additional buildings. And then they were big, like we said, on the farming and the ranching, and the granary was really the biggest building typically in the compound. This is where the granary was for Espada. And, you know, the Franciscans, they introduced a lot of new foods to this area, including things like cumin, oregano, pepper, cinnamon, garlic, rosemary.
Wow, we like all that stuff.
I'm telling you, I'm happy they came because that really expanded our palates.
Yes.
You know, walking around the missions, it really gives you a sense of what they brought and how they changed the culture of Texas. So this trail is the hike and bike trail that connects the 4 missions of the San Antonio Missions National Historical Park. And along the way there are places to rent the bicycles, but that also looks like you can take it all the way into downtown San Antonio with a combination of this trail and then street trails to take you to La Villita and the Alamo and all of the things that there are to do down there, the Riverwalk. So that is pretty cool.
Tour San Antonio by bike.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Okay, no trip to the San Antonio Missions National Historic Park would be complete without a stop at the Espada Aqueduct. This is an engineering marvel, they call it, that was built between 1740 and 1745 to take water from the San Antonio River up to Mission de la Espada so that they could farm and they cocould grow crops. They say it's the only one like it today in the United States, a colonial aqueduct. It was a 270-foot dam, and they say it curved the wrong way across the river. But yeah, it's really cool to see, still standing today, and it was a huge part in mission life and their ability to grow crops and feed the natives, and so very important.